the biggest surprise came when I'd finished writing and the book went out into the world, and I realized how little people knew of the stories of crop diversity. And what I wanted to do in Eating to Extinction was to tell firstly the story of how did diversity come into existence? How is it that over thousands of years, farmers and communities in different parts of the world interacted with landscapes, with nature, with plants, with animals, and created this huge amount of diversity that enabled them to survive. And then I tell the story of how that diversity came to become more fragile and in some cases to be lost. And also what I discovered when I was researching the book was how important that is. I think for me personally, it was how valuable, how precious for our future, a lot of what had been created by thousands of years of farming was going to be. But yeah, the key thing that really surprised me was when people started to read the stories of endangered foods or crop diversity or the diversity of seeds, they said, I had no idea. And that, in a sense, made me feel like at least I was sending a story out into the world, to the mainstream, to a mainstream audience of a story that really mattered. I traveled to so many different parts of the world in search of crop diversity. And also I tried in researching the book to identify where could I still go that connects me to stories of crop origins as well. So the so-called centers of origin or centers of diversity. That took me on some travels in China. And I ended up arriving in Chengdu and then traveling for 3 hours in Sichuan. And what seemed to me in the middle of nowhere, met a farmer who was, he was keeping alive, really, the cultivation of a type of rice that in the rest of the region had disappeared. And it was a glutinous type of rice. It was called red mouth sticky rice. And I found it when I was looking through a catalogue of endangered foods. It was the Ark of Taste. And so I traveled to meet the farmer, and he explained why he was growing the rice, why he'd saved it, why he felt it was part of his inheritance, why the neighboring farmers had moved over to other more modern types of rice and had let this type of rice become endangered. And the question I had when I was with him was, I really value what you're doing as a farmer of saving this rice, but how on earth are you getting your rice to market? How are you selling it? How are you generating an income? Because there was nowhere around that I could see that provided him with an opportunity to sell it. And this farmer, who was in his 70s, took his phone out of his pocket and he showed me the screen, and on it was an app, WeChat, and he was selling his rice to people in Beijing, in other cities around China. And I realized the power of creating new supply chains, new ways of interacting with people. And he was telling them this story of why he valued this endangered rice, and they were responding. And I think this was a new opportunity that he had discovered, well, he had realized existed, of he could save the rice and also he could stay farming and making an income as well. So a combination of the very old, traditional crop diversity farming and the very new, a new digital supply chain. I think people are becoming more aware of the importance and the value of crop diversity without even realizing that they are. And I think it's because people are concerned about biodiversity, what's happening to land. They're concerned about what's happening to climate and issues surrounding climate change. They're aware and engaged with issues around freshwater use. And perhaps most importantly, at a personal level, they're really engaged and interested in making decisions or choices around food that benefit their health. All of these issues, all of them interconnect with crop diversity. And the idea that seeds and crop diversity give us options for the future, both in how we farm, but also how we feed ourselves that is going to bring health benefits to the planet and also ourselves as well. I think that's the opportunity that we have to say people have a personal reason to engage with crop diversity. And it's something that they can do. They can learn more. They can become curious. They can actually, as the story I told of the farmer saving the sticky rice, they could be on the other end of the phone and engaging with people who are saving crop diversity, because I know many people are inspired to seek out food diversity for reasons of health. And that could, in a sense, provide an income for a farmer who's saving diversity, who in turn is providing those options for the future and the solutions for climate change or resilience or better use of water and soil. So I think there are so many reasons that are now growing and people becoming more aware of the reasons, and we just need to make the connection with the food, with the crops, with the seeds. There is a food that in fact went extinct that I managed to end up tasting because somebody had brought it back from extinction. And that is a type of lentil that's grown in the Swabian region of Germany. It went extinct in the 1960s. A farmer traveled to St. Petersburg to get the seed to bring it back into cultivation with a group of farmers. And the reason why it's such a fascinating food experience as well as a food story is because I've eaten lentils and I thought I knew what a lentil looked like, tasted like. And when I tried this Swabian alb lentil, it's called, it completely transformed my idea of what a lentil was when it came to texture, in terms of how it looked, but most importantly, how it tasted as well. It had this earthy, rich flavor that I hadn't associated with the lentils I'd tried before. And to think that had disappeared and had gone extinct and somebody had brought it back and it was being grown again by not just one farmer, but by 80, 100 farmers. So that's the dish that stands out for me is the Swabian lentil. And you can cook it with noodles as well. It's one of the traditional dishes that they have. So I tasted an extinct and revived, restored, lost food. And it was delicious.